no one's going to argue with their own data. And you show them how, like, for example, I worked with a team. This was fantastic not too long ago, where we reduced their meetings. They had about 10 meetings a week. They reduced them from 60 minutes to 30 minutes. That is about a 19% savings of time that they reclaimed in their week. The team did. You multiply that over the year, it's 49 days on a calendar year. Multiply that by everybody's salary. I mean, do the math. Look how the numbers, your 5 and 6 figure numbers that you're actually reclaiming in time that you can use to have better conversations that are more pointed and directed. You're maybe using that time to do your work and the things you love to do. Maybe you're taking time off to go fishing. Whatever it is, when you see that quantifiable number, now I know that the program is working. You know the coaching is working, and it's not just fluff in the sky. It's not just make-believe.
Yeah, I listen to a gentleman, Darren Hardy, every morning. He's a Success Magazine. He's interviewed Tony all very successful. He was talking about that today, showing you every 80% or 85% of meetings are way too long, costing millions a year in corporate and business, even the small businesses. And they don't get to the point. That's where you help. If I was putting a meeting on, I could go through Remarkable Speaking, use your framework and go, and that 30-minute meeting becomes a 15-minute meeting. We get everything done and we move on to our work, right?
Without a doubt. I have another client who works in an investment fund, and he said his meetings now are 5 minutes, 5 priorities. Boom, boom, boom. Because his board of directors, they don't want a full-on story. They want to get right to the point. They want the most essential information in, out. And for the additional time, if say the meeting's 30 minutes and he spent 15 minutes, he's telling me he's using that additional 15 minutes to go deeper, to take the conversation and the relationship building piece deeper, get into more specific ideas around the project, as opposed to wasting the time figuring out, what do we say? What's the point of this discussion? So yes, there's a very big part of this on how to run meetings and be more succinct and efficient. So you can apply that to giving a presentation. You don't need 100 slides. You could do it in 3 slides. You can use it to writing an email. You can use it for a podcast. What questions do I want to ask the people? How can I interview better? This framework is so adaptable to any speaking opportunity, anything, even a conversation with friends. It changes everything.
And I've never heard, and I could be wrong, Shelley, a company that went out of business because their meetings were too short. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. No, because that's the cool thing about that 15 minutes. If they're done, well, the board goes and they go out their way and they're happy, like, oh, God, I got to stay another.
Very. Can you imagine you're going back to closing more deals and doing the work that you're really hired to do? So it's really important.
A big part of the book, which we've talked about a lot, me and you, we've talked, is storytelling and the framework around that. And people going, I don't have a story. Do you say it in the book? People have come to me, I don't have a story to tell. And within 5 minutes, you have somebody's story. That's important. Talk about that.
Very important. I actually coached a young entrepreneur who was, I think, a multimillionaire by the time he was 27, college dropout. And when he sold his company, he said, I have nothing to talk about. People want me to be on panels and write articles for magazines. What am I going to say? Right? Well, it's his whole journey. I bet you're asking right now, how did he get that million? How did he come up with this idea? Where did it come from? Those are stories. So one of the drills is called, you look for your speaking opportunities. What are the opportunities I'm going to speak in? But what are the stories that I can tell? What are my experiences in my life? What are things I've gone through, articles I've read, things that happened to me as a kid when I was on a sporting team or learning music? Those translate directly to who you are today. They help shape you with who you are today and help build the legacy. So one of the drills helps you distill down those examples and stories, and you create a story bank. So you have those anytime you need something to talk about.
Well, here's why. You don't know this, so I'm going to put this out publicly. I've done 200 podcast guest appearances. I've been on radio and I've been on TV.
Wow.
But you told me find your stories. And I say the same, flip them out, the same stories about how I met this guy at 19, made me 68,000. And I have become an incredible guest. And I'm saying that proudly because of you. People like, I had this guy, I was on ABC radio yesterday. And I don't want to talk about me because it's about you, but this is about you. I got on there a little bit nervous, kind of like your wedding thing. And this guy's interviewed Alex Hormozy, big time people.
Yeah.
Holy man, come up with stories. He's like, amazing. He's right here. It got done. He goes, Steve, it's one of my best shows. Crazy.
Wow. Storytelling has been around since it was the first way we communicated. First, we did it with, pictograms on caves. It goes back thousands of years. So why would we not bring up stories today? And people say, well, it's a workplace. But think about it. If you're reporting data, and I talked about the numbers, the ROI, and where people save time in meetings, but I brought a story about real people that it happened to and how they cut down their meeting time. It was the story that made it interesting. Now, maybe a number pops out as well, but I didn't just recite the facts and the figures. You bring it around something that people could relate to and connect. That's why we love movies and books and songs and poems, because they take us to a place that we can connect to or dream of. And so stories makes everything relatable. And again, it's your legacy. It makes you different and unique. And you're not just talking about features and benefits. Anybody could read that on the box top. There's lots of speaking coaches out there. What makes me different? It's my stories and how I process. Many, many people come to me and want, I want to be Steve Jobs. I want to speak like Steve Jobs. Somebody who's a confident business owner, CEO, they run Fortune 100 and 500 companies. I want to be like, no, Steve Jobs has a job. His legacy is taken. Let's dig into yours. Like the young multimillionaire who sold his company. What was your journey that made your rise through the ranks unique? That's why TED Talks are so popular, for goodness sakes. We all want the story, the hero's journey, and we all have that, for better and for the failures as well.
Yeah. You be humble and tell people how you screwed up. People want to hear that because it makes you human. Makes you human. And Marvel's a multi-billion-dollar company because the stories they tell. I love Marvel because I love their stories. You're so right.
Great news. The conversation continues. When you subscribe, like, and ring the bell, you'll know when a new episode has released. As always, speak remarkably.